When we first encountered humanity, we were taken aback. It's not every day that an interplanetary government messes up so spectacularly that it overlooks an entirely new sentient species within its own territory. Sure, it was an unremarkable, undeveloped part of our domain. But the sheer volume of radio signals humans were carelessly throwing into the void left our leaders without an excuse. The reason for this oversight could wait, the humans could not. They had already cracked our language and were poking into our economy, culture, and worldview, having apparently studied us for about one of their years. Fortunately, the galactic bureaucracy had protocols for these situations, though they were usually meant for primitive species just discovering FTL travel. A 100 light-year sphere around their cradle world was allocated for them. Too bad 30% of it was, well, uninhabitable space. More on that later. When our diplomats finally contacted these newcomers, we were even more astonished by their peculiarities. Earth fell at the extreme upper limit of the gravitational spectrum for life that could develop spacefaring capabilities. If their gravity had been slightly stronger, early spaceflight likely would have been impossible, and humanity might have given up, as some species have, without external help. Still, few races ever take on the responsibility of uplifting others. To those who haven't met humans, most high-gravity species are roughly half the size of humans at best and rely on collective intelligence to survive against larger predators. Humans, however, stood about 2 of their meters tall, half the average height of most galactic species. Despite their relatively smaller stature, they were unnervingly strong compared to other high-gravity beings and monstrously, so when matched with the galactic average, their movements were mechanical and efficient, a product of their high-gravity environment. It gave them a reputation as brute laborers, enhanced by their unyielding optimism. Yet their unshakable demeanor faltered when it came to their own history. Watching human diplomats squirm as they recounted their shameful history of warfare was oddly endearing to us. Some of our diplomats reassured them they weren't monsters for having fought wars, much to the humans' visible relief. Still, stereotypes about their brute force problem-solving persisted. Human engineers' penchant for percussive maintenance, banging machinery to fix it, was both baffling and effective. It became a running joke among us that the only surprising thing about this method was that it actually worked. As we learned more about humanity, they became the subject of countless jokes in the bureaucracy. Initially, these jokes stemmed from lingering fears about the monstrously strong apes. To our surprise, humans took these jests in stride, even adding their own self-deprecating humor. This playful attitude helped ease tensions, though it spawned more light-hearted jokes at their expense. For a few years, humans thrived in their designated buffer zone, rapidly building mining stations, colonies, and trade networks. Their blend of average galactic intelligence, immense strength, and boundless energy made them unparalleled laborers. Their economic boom seemed unstoppable until disaster struck. A trade deal with the surcast stellar gospel, a religious avian species known for persistent evangelism, had been the backbone of humanity's economy. But a scandal arose when a human leader was quoted in a tabloid calling them the Jehovah's Witnesses of the galaxy, and expressing mild annoyance at their proselytizing, despite praising their trading capabilities. Outraged, the gospel severed all ties, labeling humans ungrateful heretics and pushing for a trade embargo. While this could have devastated humanity's economy, they responded with surprising nonchalance. They apologized for the remarks but weathered the embargo with resilience, though it took them 2 decades to recover fully. Only one other species, the infamously isolationist and uncooperative Uzino, joined the embargo, mostly out of convenience. Despite these setbacks, humanity continued to navigate its rocky path through the galactic community. The story of their rise was only beginning. As the carnivorous Carcans grappled with the sudden decimation of their food supply, chaos began to ripple through their empire. The humans' pinpoint strikes had effectively crippled the Carcan Infinite Armada's logistical backbone. While the Carcans had always prided themselves on their military might, their inability to produce or safely acquire sustenance forced them to divert resources away from the front lines. For the first time in centuries, the Carcan war machine stalled. The humans, meanwhile, continued to employ tactics that defied conventional military wisdom. They abandoned colony after colony, drawing the Carcans deeper into territory devoid of meaningful resources or strategic value. Each system the Carcans conquered turned out to be a poison chalice, either stripped of all usable assets or laced with traps and sabotage. Entire Carcan fleets found themselves stranded in dead systems, their supply lines severed and their ships rendered inoperable by subtle human sabotage. The galactic bureaucracy watched in stunned silence. The humans, who had initially appeared to be hopeless underdogs, were demonstrating a level of strategic ingenuity that no one had anticipated. They weren't fighting the Carcans head-on instead. They were systematically dismantling the foundation of the Carcan war effort. Then came the turning point. Reports emerged of the massive ships the humans had been constructing in secret. These vessels, dubbed Judgment-class dreadnoughts, were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They were colossal, bristling with weaponry and defensive systems, and most terrifyingly, equipped with experimental human technologies that had been kept under wraps. The first appearance of these dreadnoughts was at the Battle of Trionus Rift, where a Carcan fleet of unprecedented size had been massing for a final push. The human ships arrived unannounced, their sheer size and firepower dwarfing even the largest Carcan vessels. What followed wasn't a battle, it was a rout. The dreadnoughts obliterated the Carcan fleet in a display of overwhelming force, showcasing weapons that tore through Carcan armor like paper and defenses that rendered their counterattacks futile. Word of the defeat spread rapidly. The Carcan Infinite Armada, long thought invincible, was now on the defensive. Human forces began reclaiming lost systems with surprising speed, their strategy shifting from evasion to direct confrontation. The Carcans, unaccustomed to such resistance, found themselves outmaneuvered and outgunned. By the end of the second year of the war, the Carcan leadership was desperate. Their economy was in shambles, their fleets were in tatters, and their people were on the brink of revolt. A desperate plea for peace was sent to the galactic bureaucracy, and through them, to the humans. When the human delegation arrived at the peace talks, they carried themselves with the same calm confidence that had marked their conduct throughout the war. The terms they presented were simple. The Carcans would cede all claims to human territory, pay reparations for damages caused during the war, and agree to strict demilitarization along their borders with humanity. When the human delegation arrived at the peace talks, they carried themselves with the same calm confidence that had marked their conduct throughout the war. The terms they presented were simple. The Carcans would cede all claims to human territory, pay reparations for damages caused during the war, and agree to strict demilitarization along their borders with humanity. To everyone's astonishment, the Carcan representatives agreed without hesitation. The once mighty juggernaut of the galaxy had been humbled, not through sheer might, but through the relentless ingenuity and resilience of the humans. As the galaxy adjusted to the new status quo, the humans returned to their characteristic optimism and industriousness, rebuilding what had been lost and forging new alliances. Their victory against the Carcans became the stuff of legend, a testament to the idea that strength was more than just brute force. It was adaptability, determination, and an unyielding will to survive. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. As the Carcan Infinite Admiral was escorted away, a heavy silence blanketed the room. The humans, stoic as ever, began discussing the logistics of integrating the Carcan territories into their expanding domain. The non-human representatives of the galactic bureaucracy, still reeling from the shocking turn of events, exchanged uneasy glances. For the first time in galactic history, a species had managed to not only defeat the Carcan Infinite Armada, but also take on the responsibility of their population and lands with a pledge of mercy and unity. The human representatives outlined their plans with characteristic efficiency. Former Carcan territories would be rebuilt under human oversight, with their people integrated into the human eminent republic as equal citizens. Strict measures would be taken to prevent future militarization, but the humans promised to respect Carcan culture and autonomy within their new governance structure. This declaration was met with skepticism and quiet awe. The humans had already demonstrated their capacity for calculated ruthlessness in war, yet here they stood, pledging compassion and reconciliation. Some representatives questioned the sincerity of such promises, while others worried about the immense resources and effort this endeavor would require. The humans, however, remained resolute. In the weeks following the surrender, the galaxy watched as the humans began their monumental task. They deployed fleets of reconstruction ships to Carcan worlds, delivering supplies and medical aid to the starving and sick. Carcan leaders who had survived the war were brought into human-led councils, ensuring that their people had a voice in the rebuilding process. The humans even organized memorials for the billions who had perished on both sides, an unprecedented gesture of respect that left many in the galaxy speechless. Despite these acts of goodwill, tensions simmered. The execution of the Carcan Infinite Admiral loomed, a stark reminder of the war's devastation. On the day of the execution, representatives from every major species gathered to witness the event. The human general and admiral presided over the proceedings, their expressions somber. The admiral, now a shadow of his former self, stood with dignity as his sentence was carried out. Before his execution, he was allowed to address the galaxy. His final words were surprisingly introspective, an admission of his own failures, a plea for his people's survival, and an acknowledgement of humanity's strength not just in war, but in resilience and compassion. As the execution concluded, a new era began. The humans had not only cemented their place as a galactic power, but had also redefined the rules of engagement in the galaxy. Their actions during and after the war demonstrated that strength could coexist with empathy, and that even the most devastating conflicts could lead to opportunities for growth and unity. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity's rise, marked by both tragedy and triumph, had irrevocably altered the course of history, and as they continued to rebuild, the humans proved, time and again, that they were a force to be reckoned with, unstoppable, unyielding, and undeniably unique. The human leader's words stayed with me long after that conversation. Their ability to adapt, to face insurmountable odds with calculated detachment, was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. They had turned the catastrophic loss of Earth into an opportunity to reshape themselves and their place in the galaxy. But it was more than just their strategic acumen that left an impression. It was their resilience, the way they refused to bow to despair, their ability to rebuild from the ashes, and their unwavering resolve to protect their people, no matter the cost. In their eyes, the galaxy saw not just survivors, but an indomitable force capable of weathering any storm. The integration of the Carcan territories marked the beginning of a new era. The human eminent republic, bolstered by the newfound resources, manpower, and technology of their former adversaries, emerged as a dominant power. Their fleets, now a mix of human and Carcan engineering, patrolled the stars, ensuring peace and stability where chaos once reigned. Yet the galaxy could not ignore the shadow of Earth's destruction. It served as a stark reminder of the cost of hubris and the lengths to which humanity was willing to go to ensure its survival. The humans had lost their cradle world, but they had gained something far greater, a place at the head of the galactic stage. In the years that followed, humanity's influence spread far and wide. Their economic and technological advancements ushered in an age of unprecedented prosperity for their allies. Even former critics begrudgingly admitted that the humans had brought a sense of balance to the galaxy that had long been absent. And yet there was an unspoken tension in the air. The humans, despite their jovial nature and willingness to cooperate, carried an aura of quiet menace. It was not born of malice, but of understanding, a mutual acknowledgement that beneath their smiles lay a species that had faced oblivion and emerged unbroken. As I reflect on these events, one thing becomes clear: humanity's greatest strength lies not in their weapons or technology, but in their unyielding spirit. They are a species that does not give up. that does not give in, and as their actions have shown time and again, does not give a underscore about playing by anyone else's rules. And so, the galaxy watches. We watch as humanity carves its path, never forgetting the lessons of the past, but never allowing them to dictate the future. For better or worse, they have become the architects of their destiny and perhaps ours as well.